One. Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today on Vancouver's podcast is Corey Brewer, who is founder and president of Beyond Landscaping and co-founder of Market Hill Agency. Thanks, Corey, for joining us today.
Thanks, Mario. Happy to be here.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about both entities. Let's start with Beyond Landscaping. Tell me what that business is all about.
Sure, would love to. Yeah, so Beyond Landscaping was started about 9 years ago, right after I graduated university. I got my business degree, and I had cut lawns and done a lot of landscaping through high school and university to pay the bills. And ultimately, when it came time to start a company and start my entrepreneur journey, it just made the most sense to position myself in this sector. We specialize in high-end residential landscaping, landscape maintenance, landscape construction, and snow removal. But we also do a lot of commercial and strata as well. What really sets us apart is from the beginning was my high commitment to customer service. I had a lot of experience in the restaurant industry, so I took some of that experience that I had of customer service and culture, and I moved that into our company. So that's been our focus from day one, is really focusing on those aspects and building long-term relationships with our clients as well.
Now, that industry, I see it around my neighborhood here. I'm based in Calgary, and I see it around my neighborhood all the time, is more and more landscaping companies doing the work for residents. Why do you think that's growing? And the interest in that is growing.
Yeah, I think there's a big shift in the generations as well. Like my grandparents' generation, obviously they did everything themselves growing up. Money was tight. And then now we have this big shift where they're aging out. They can't handle the yard work on their own. So my grandparents' generation, they need help around their houses, and they own quite a lot
Mhm.
of the homes in North and West Vancouver. So they're obviously looking for companies like us on how do they maintain their house, and they do take a lot of pride and care in their property, so keeping it looking good, and obviously that needs to be outsourced as well. And then my parents generation as well, there's a lot of younger people coming in. They're very busy with their kids, they like to travel, they like to do anything but the yard maintenance. They don't
Yeah.
quite take the same pride and care, or maybe they don't have the time that they used to. Maybe the husband and the wife are working, and I noticed there's that generation as well quite need quite a lot of help around the house.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, tell me a little bit about the other company you have, the Market Hill Agency. What is that?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite companies I run. I started that actually with my cousin, who was a executive assistant for several C-suite executives here in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
And Beyond Landscaping has quite a lot of outsourced employees. We've outsourced a lot of our office to the Philippines, and I helped probably about 20 to 25 different businesses in Vancouver and States offshore some office help and get them support. And I always knew that I could turn that into a business, but I didn't want to get distracted from my core business, which of course is Beyond Landscaping. But then after a conversation with my cousin Brittany, we decided to partner with her skills in EAs. And my skills with remote outsourcing. We created a company that helps entrepreneurs or really anyone, could be a C-suite executive, could just be a really busy person that runs a house and that has kids and has quite a lot of things going on. Will help anyone outsource a lot of tasks, for obviously a really cost-effective number, and will really change entrepreneurs' lives and help them buy back a lot of their time. So get them out of the grind and the hamster wheel of all the busy things that they're constantly doing, checking emails, booking travel,
Yeah.
arranging schedules, and that's really what our business model is.
Yeah, I guess that's the one I guess really difficult thing for entrepreneurs, right? Is that they got so much on their plate, so much to do, and yet so little time, right? And do you see this as an area that will continue to expand, where especially the smaller entrepreneurs need that time to focus more on the core of their business?
Certainly. The more time that I can take away from doing things that I shouldn't. I mean, Dan Martell says, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. I really love that saying.
Mm.
The more time that I can take away from the emails and the calls and the scheduling and the basic admin, and even delegating things to other employees of mine or reaching out, I use my EA as my hub for that. So the more I can use her, the more I can focus on what only I can do, which is building relationships, social media, podcasts like this, and maybe large ticket sales and the things that I am clearly and uniquely gifted to do in the organization. Also part of my organizational structure. So I should be big picture, thinking ahead. And if I don't have that ability to think and really drive the company forward, then obviously then we're going to be stuck in that hamster wheel, like many small entrepreneurs and small businesses are. They're just stuck in that hamster wheel and that grind, and they don't have the ability to pop their head above the clouds and kind of look and set the vision for where their company is supposed to go.
Hmm. So how do you manage to juggle both entities?
Yeah, so we both companies run on something called EOS, which is the Entrepreneur Organizational System, really structured job descriptions, vision, mission, values, where we have really strict weekly meetings. So the biggest input I have every week for Beyond Landscaping is a weekly team meeting with our leadership team. And I run those meetings and I help set the vision, hold our leadership team accountable, and then they go off and they do their work for the week. I help them set the rocks, the most important things that they've got to focus on in that quarter, and then of course help them hold that accountable. So I've found really strict organizational structure of team meetings, accountability, job descriptions, so everybody knows what they're doing. Now we have shared accountability as well, and that's really made the biggest difference in both organizations. So I had to get past the fact where I'm no longer doing everything myself. When we first started running those meetings, I'd always end up with 10 to-dos every week, and I'd take on the brunt of the work and the rocks. And I've had to just train and learn myself that, hey, it's not me that needs to be doing all this. I just need to be there facilitating, setting the vision, and then having my key staff and leadership team really run with my vision and ideas.
Now, Corey, what were you taking and at what university?
Yeah, I went to Capilano University and I studied business. So I got a Bachelor of Business Administration and a minor in strategic HR management.
Oh, okay. What would you say that if you look back, even in high school, what did you think you would become in terms of a professional?
Yeah, I always knew that I'd be an entrepreneur.
Oh,
Very
really?
fortunate that my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my uncle was an entrepreneur. I always wanted to be one. I had actually never intended to be an entrepreneur so quickly. I started my company around 26. When I graduated university, I wanted to work in sales or business for several years, make some money. You know, I was a broke student, so the appeal to a sales
Yeah.
position really appealed to me. But after some advice from my uncle. I asked him which sales job should I take that I had uh, job offers for. He had said actually turn both down and start your own company. And obviously that was quite an emotional decision. It caused some problems in my family as well. I think my mom was didn't talk to him for 2 weeks about that. Uh, but ultimately, starting early was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like the self development journey that entrepreneurship has pushed me through is something that I've never experienced in my life, and it was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
So what were your uncle and grandfather doing?
My grandpa ran a, very large mechanical contracting company in BC, invested quite a lot in real estate, commercial, and
Okay.
warehouses. And then my uncle followed in his footsteps, also did the same thing, also in the trades, and then went out on his own to build spec homes and renovate the existing residential houses and did quite well on that. So luckily, I've always had quite a great family to aspire to be to, and that's definitely really helped my drive as well. I always knew
Yeah.
that I'd follow in their footsteps.
What do you think you learned from them?
My grandpa's always talked about how to treat people. He tells stories that he actually had three generational employees that worked for him. So a grandfather, a son, and a grandson. They all worked for him, and it's just really a testament about like how important it is to have great people and treat them really well. So I learned a lot from him. My uncle, I learned a lot about my drive. He taught me how to work hard. I did construction demo for him and no breaks, keep working, If you want to go out and party or you want to go on a trip, it doesn't matter, but come back and go work as hard as you can, make up for those hours. So with
Yeah.
that work-life balance, I learned a lot from my uncle and just really work ethic as well. And he's the guy that when I told him, "Hey, I've got 4 trucks now, and I'm the best," like I've grown this company and I've got 4 trucks. And he's like, "Well, why don't you have 8?" And then we hit 8 trucks and eight crews. And he's like, "Well, why don't you have more?"
Yeah.
He's always been pushing me to grow quite a lot. So
Yeah.
got quite a lot of good insight and value from my family.
Oh,
And really, inspiration is a big one.
pardon?
And inspiration is a really
Oh,
big one as well.
yeah. So, when you look at the growth of both, what would you say the key is to scaling a business successfully?
Yeah, I mean, starting obviously it's hard work. Beyond landscaping took me 9 years to get to the point where we're at right now. We've got 40 field staff and close to 10 office staff. I think I'm going to be able to do the same thing with Market Hill in a quarter of the amount of time. Still working hard, but now I've learned that yes, you can work hard and you can grind. And with Beyond Landscaping, I was working 80 hours a week for 6 or 7 years. For Market Hill, I want to do everything different. So it's not just about working hard, which is obviously one of the most important things, and optimism and fortitude to deal with problems and all the issues that come up with small business entrepreneurship, but also about doing things smart. So we did almost everything backwards. Sorry, not backwards. We did everything the correct way with Market Hill. I learned from all my mistakes from Beyond. And now instead of grinding for years, we set really strict procedures and policies up from the beginning. So we started the organization with a clear vision and mission and values. We started with really strict organizational structures. We hired executive assistants right away for both of us at the beginning, so that we didn't have to be the people that were putting in 40 to 80 hours a week. Instead, we're putting in under 5 each and doing things the way that serial entrepreneurs would actually run companies. So I think I've learned quite a lot of lessons from Beyond, and now I've put those into the other companies that I run.
Now, when you look back at the beginning, what were the biggest challenges you faced in starting up a business?
I think I wasn't emotionally mature enough to start a business when I did.
Uh,
I had a lot of work to do and I've had to grow a lot as a person. I think that was one of the biggest challenges is if I could go back now and restart my journey, there's 2 things I would have done. One would have been to get into some therapy and learn how to deal with emotions, how to hold difficult conversations, how to
mm,
deal with conflict. I learned a little bit about that with the restaurant industry. Obviously, how do you deal with upset customers every night when the
yeah.
food's not perfect? But I would go back and spend a lot more time on self development from the beginning. I think would have made my entrepreneur journey so much better. And a lot of the problems that I faced in the first company, I might not have had to go through. So I think that's the big one. And sales training as well. Sales was a weakness of mine. I was great with people and I could build rapport and I did really well with customers, but I was never a salesperson, and we never really were a sales organization up until the last year or two. So those are 2 big things that I'd really recommend anyone to do before they start a company: is get a little bit of experience in business or sales, and also either therapy or some sort of self-development, personality tests, and just learning a lot more about how to deal with people, especially your employees.
Yeah. So obviously the juggling of the two, the businesses, uh, how do you do it and how do you manage to have time for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, work-life balance is something that gets thrown quite a lot around, but I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think if you're going to run a company, it's got to be your life and your obsession. And I'm always thinking about business. There's no such thing as shutting off. Like if I'm on holidays and I get a couple days off and I'm lying in a lawn chair, that's usually my structured deep think time where I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about ways that I can improve both companies and think big picture and get excited. And when I come back from a holiday, is usually when I'm doing that.
Yeah. Do you think that I guess entrepreneurs need to have something like that where if you're running a business, you're just so into everything, right? And doing and doing and doing stuff, but you don't have time to sit back and think about the overall thing, right? Or this overall strategy or overall vision, etc. Do you think that more entrepreneurs need that getaway time away from the business and the daily routine to think the bigger things?
100%. I think that's the most important thing that I could be doing. I could jump in any day. I could be in the field and helping out the crews when we're behind. If somebody quits or leaves the company, I could jump in and fill in that role, or I could solve all my staff's problems. But the best thing I could do is think big picture and set the vision for the organization. And I think that's what some organizations and entrepreneurs forget is it's really easy to get in that hamster wheel of doing everything, micromanaging your staff or taking ownership of 100 different tasks. But the best thing I could be doing is leading, inspiring, and delegating to my staff. And otherwise, they're not going to grow as well. And that's just part of the entrepreneur journey about developing yourself and building that trust in yourself and your team to be able to delegate and trust your staff to handle all that. So that I do have that structured time to really build the course for where both companies are going.
Hmm. What do you like about running a business or two businesses in Vancouver and in British Columbia? What are the benefits of that?
Yeah, my favorite thing about running businesses is the self-development and growth that I've had as a person. It is constantly forcing me to grow as a person. So when I started my company and I was at a couple $100,000 a year in revenue and beyond landscaping, I was not qualified to run a company that size. Nor was I at 1 million or $2 million a year revenue. And now that we're even larger and I'm now running a leadership team, I realized about a year or two ago that I wasn't really uniquely qualified to run a leadership team. I didn't have the skills and abilities to lead and inspire and manage a huge team of people. So I found that it really forces me every step of the way, every time we hit a new threshold, or I know I want to continue to grow. I look ahead and say these are the skills I'm going to need in the next couple of years. So a lot of my journey in the last couple of years has been self-development, becoming a better leader, becoming a better speaker, so that I can continue to drive the growth of the organization.
What about just where you do business? Are there advantages of being in Vancouver or being in British Columbia in general?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, building a business in your backyard has quite a lot of benefits. I did have a network of neighbors. I had grown up knocking around my neighborhood in Norgate, so all the neighbors knew me. So when I started my business, I had that kind of leg up that I had that trust built already around my own neighborhood. And then we just continue to expand, and people love doing business with other people that are local with them. So I obviously have a huge step up over companies trying to come into our area where they're from different cities and doing work in our area because people would way much rather do business with us. I've been born and raised in North Van. I've never left. So they hear and see that story about where I came from, which was just one guy pushing a lawnmower around his neighborhood, and I didn't
Yeah.
even have a car when I started my company, to where we are now. And I think people really appreciate doing business with local companies.
What's your general overall sense, Corey, of where business is at in BC and in Vancouver these days?
I think it's incredibly challenging. I know a lot of businesses that are struggling. Obviously, there's some legislative issues that people are having, and I know the economy is not doing the greatest, and people there's a lot of businesses that are really struggling. Thankfully, the trades right now are always busy. Even during COVID, I was quite concerned what was going to happen with the shutdowns and whether people would have money to be able to pay for our services. And I actually had a conversation with my one of my other grandpas that day, and I expressed my concerns to him, and he's reminded me, hey, like I'm not going to go out and start cutting my own lawn and trimming my own bushes. It doesn't matter what's going on. There's always going to be a need for your services. And that's when I really realized we do have somewhat of an essential service. So that really
Yeah.
helps. So trades is a great place to be in right now because while there is a lot of competition, just like in any industry, there's also plethora of work. So
Yeah.
it's a great time to be doing any trades business in BC or Canada, period.
Okay. So having started a business at a young age, what advice would you give aspiring young entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest thing would be don't overthink it and just start. Everything you can figure out on your own. You can find really great mentors. I think that's a really big thing that I've always been really good at is finding a smart person that's better than me, more further along in their journey, and either copying what they do, taking them out for breakfast or lunch, having a conversation, never being free to cold email or call another company and ask for advice, and get a coach. I think my coach that I had for the first, I think from year 3 to year 7, was amazing. And he unfortunately just retired recently, but I've had so many really great mentors that have helped my journey that I wouldn't be where I am today without. So get really good feedback from people. Don't be shy to ask questions of anyone. I mean, I doesn't matter who they are, whether it's my family, whether it's another business person in my city. I've never shied away from calling them up and asking them for advice. And the other big thing would be just start. I think that I get asked all the time, like, hey, should I go to business school before I start a company? And I say, absolutely not. I think just start a company. There right now with AI and ChatGPT and YouTube videos, you can learn anything you want by just typing it in and on that subject. And you can learn and have an amazing education without any need for formal education. I think starting as early as you can and not overthinking it is definitely a piece of advice I'd love to give the younger generation.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much, Corey, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, that was Corey
Happy to be here.
Brewer, who is founder and president of Beyond Landscaping and co-founder of Market Hill Agency in Vancouver. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.